Good morning. So recently I came home, and I mentioned this in a message recently, that Heidi found some videotape that was actually taken, I think, by Richie Payne up at Camp Awana, 1996, November 1996. And it was the weekend that I found out in the middle of the weekend that it was a go, that we had a new youth pastor to come in. And so I was going to share with the students that I was going to be moving on to college ministry. So some of them would still be with me, but it wasn't met with a lot of positive expectations, so to speak. Because I guess when you've been the youth pastor for a dozen years, and you've had so many people's siblings and everything else, it was a pretty emotional time. So I was aware of it. I became aware of it by Saturday evening. And I just kept it to myself. The next morning when I met with our leaders, I shared it with them, and then I shared it with the students after they had a chance to share, and it was a very emotional time. But I always remember there was one of our leaders, Brian, that said, he was disappointed, but he goes, yeah, well, I guess it's time to move on to bigger and better things. And I remember how it struck me then, and I shared it with the students that morning. Whatever I go on to do, there's nothing bigger or better. Ultimately in life, I really believe it's about loving the people that are in front of you and to learn to do that better. And so I was reading something from Philip Yancey about his visit to see Mother Teresa in Calcutta. And what really struck him was not just Mother Teresa, but the serenity that the Sisters of Charity had, even though they were dealing with people in such dire circumstances. But they had this incredible serenity. And how did they have it? Well, he talked about how they would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then they'd go down to the chapel, and they would be dressed in their spotless white saris, that they would go into the chapel, and they would sit cross-legged on the floor, and they would spend quite a bit of time singing and praying together. And on the wall of that very plain chapel, there was a cross that was on the wall, and beneath it were the words, "I thirst," which I thought was very apropos. And those are words that Jesus spoke on the cross. Imagine the living water, the inventor of water would say, "I thirst," that he identifies with us when we thirst for so much, and he's able to meet that. But before they meet their first client, they immerse themselves in worship and the love of God. And I think that's how they're able to have that serenity. I guess my point is, it doesn't matter whether you're a lead pastor of church, a youth pastor, whether you work with the poorest of the poor in the streets of Calcutta, or whether you're a housewife or you're an accountant. It's a matter of being centered on Jesus, and it's a matter of loving the people who are around you. So he goes on to say that I sense no panic in the sisters as they run the home for the dying and destitute in Calcutta. He said, I see concern, I see compassion. Yes, I definitely see those. But no obsession over what must get done, and nobody seems to be in a hurry. As a matter of fact, early on in their work, Mother Teresa instituted a rule that the sisters take Thursday off for prayer and rest. This is what she said: the work will always be here, but if we do not rest and pray, we will not have the presence to do our work. I think that's great counsel for anybody, to just take the time to rest, to pray, to focus on Jesus, and then we'll truly be present and have something to give away. I don't think God looks at anything of being bigger or better. It's really just treating the person that we're with like they're Jesus. And then I think Mother Teresa and those who are her disciples, so to speak, really have a lot to teach us with that. God bless you. Have a great day.